the full details are out on the Fernando Tatis Jr. 14-year, $340 million contract, which we did a quick cut in there and talked about whether Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero, that this was a blueprint that maybe the Jays would follow suit.
Right.
Full details are out. No trade clause whatsoever. So they can't move him anywhere. No opt-outs. So Fernando Tatis Jr., rain or shine, good or bad, like the contract or not, is a San Diego Padre for 14 years.
It's exciting.
It's pretty crazy. If you're a San Diego Padre fan, I mean, that's the most commitment I've ever seen a team do. I mean, it obviously broke a record for the longest term ever given.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty impressive.
I guess now would be a good time to mention. I don't know if you're aware of this. Are you familiar with a company called Big League Advance?
No.
I just muted my mic there and coughed for anybody listening to the podcast. So high production.
It was seamless, by the way.
High,
Seamless.
High production quality. Everybody watching on YouTube is like, what is he doing? Okay, so Big League Advance. This is a really cool company. You and I have talked extensively about the minor league pay system, right? And how minor leaguers don't get paid what they're worth, and how hard it can be for some of these guys to slug it out for a few years, making $500-600 a month, right? I think basically every guest we've had on the show has told some sort of a story about, trying to debate, well, if I get chicken wings tonight, I have to eat Ichiban for the rest of the month, and just crazy stuff, right? And
for sure.
Getting by on, what do they call it? Like the draft bonus babies.
Yeah, the bonus babies,
So
helping everyone else out. Yeah.
So basically, if you're a highly drafted prospect, you get a nice big signing bonus, and it's your role to basically subsidize everybody else on your team. Is essentially how it works, right? So you're buying dinner, you're getting the guy the fresh pair of socks when he needs a new pair of socks, whatever the case may be. Anyways, enter Big League Advance. So this is a new company. I guess they're about 5 or 6 years old now, but still small. So the way they operate is essentially like a venture capitalist. Think like Shark Tank or Dragon's Den or any of those guys, right? They essentially offer a small lump sum up front to a minor league prospect in exchange for a guarantee of a small percentage of that player's lifetime earnings in the MLB.
Right. Okay.
So what they do is basically they have a proprietary algorithm, according to them, which helps them identify, prospects that they think have a good chance of breaking out and making it big, right? Obviously.
So this is almost like a student loan system
Yeah.
for baseball players.
Yes, but it's not a loan. So it's guaranteed money that they don't have to pay back. Okay? So basically, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering their whole business model, but basically what it is they approach these prospects while they're in single A, in double A, that they have assessed, in like a Moneyball type analysis, right? Where they think, we think this guy is going to do something big.
Has a shot.
Has a shot at making a few $1,000,000, right? So they'll offer him, while he's making $500-600 a month trying to get by, they'll come in and say, look, we can offer you, and again, this isn't offered to every minor league prospect, okay? They determine who they think is worth spending
They
the money
mitigate
on.
their risk, of course.
Right? Yeah. Because ultimately it is a business, and they do have investors that they are responsible to turning a profit, right?
Of course.
But once they've identified a prospect that they think is worth investing in, they'll go in and they'll say, look, we think we want to extend this offer, and they have a formula worked out for each individual player, right? So what one guy's offer might not be the same as another guy's, right? They'll offer more money if they think this guy can reach higher heights and so on. So they offer the money, let's just say, to make the numbers easier, $100,000 for 1% of your career earnings, right? The player then has the option to do 1%, 5%, or 10% of their career earnings, and that lump sum kind of gets scaled up. So if it's
Right.
100,000 for 1%, then it's 500,000 for 5%, or a million
Right.
right now today as a minor leaguer, a 19-year-old minor leaguer, for 10% of your career earnings as a baseball player.
Wow, this is really interesting. I've
Yeah.
never heard of this.
So lump sum upfront, it's all guaranteed. There's no repayment no matter what. So it's
Yeah.
not a loan. There's no obligation if a career-ending injury or anything occurs, or they just don't pan out as a
Yeah.
prospect, right? They've made $1 million. They can take care of their family and so on, right? Fernando Tatis Jr. got one of those offers 5 years ago.
What?
Yeah. So big league
That
advance,
doesn't. What his dad made like $14 million in the big leagues.
big league advance got a hold of him when he was, 19 years old. I think it was the
Yeah.
2017 2018 off season. So he was just getting ready to go into his first season in Double A.
Yeah.
Now, big league advance doesn't say who their players are that they've signed, privacy reasons, whatever, right?
Right.
As far as I could tell, this is only the second player who's been confirmed to be, I guess, signed with Big League Advance. The first one that was publicly announced was a guy who actually sued them and wanted to get out of his contract. Coincidentally, also a Padres player, Francisco Maya. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Okay.
He's 25 years old. Just still a prospect at this point in his career. He did end up dropping his lawsuit, though. And here's the quote I have. So, today I dropped my lawsuit against Big League Advance. I am happy with my agreement with Big League Advance and appreciative of the information and support they've provided to me. To be clear, I do not believe Big League Advance has ever deceived me. All of my interactions with Big League Advance, and specifically Michael Schweimer, have been very professional and respectful. I believe that Big League Advance offers a great option for all minor league players, and one that for me helped me focus on baseball and fulfill my dream of reaching the major leagues. I want to make clear that I fully intend to honor my original agreement with Big League Advance.
Interesting.
So I'm sure there was some agent influence there with the initial lawsuit of like, hey, we can't just be giving up 10% of your career earnings here, and tried to get him out of it. But
Right.
I mean, I think that's a win for Big League Advance. They're pretty vindicated in that dropping of the
Oh,
lawsuit.
wow.
So,
Like, I can't even get over that Tatis was one of the guys who took this deal. That doesn't seem to make any sense to me, but good for Big League
so
AI, you said?
Big League Advance.
Advance, Big League
So
Advance.
this is
Man,
this is a company that the MLB and the MLBPA have both spoken out against. They do not like
oh,
it. They think it's a bad idea. But I mean, they've also got their business motivations for why they don't want players to be paid in the minor leagues either, right? So,
yeah. It does make sense, though. Like, this is the type of thing where the variance of talent when it comes to a baseball player coming up in the ranks, like if you get to A ball, if you get to double A, you're a very, very talented player that is miles ahead of everyone below you.
yes.
Right. And this is where steroids was such a big thing, is that the difference between a superstar and a guy who toils away in AAA is literally like minute. It's a little sliver. So if you can have an advantage, if you can get, let's say, an advance, right?
Yep.
Or you sign a contract saying, yeah, I will give you 1% of my income because it's totally worth it for me to not worry about working a part-time job, about not worrying about money, about not skimping on certain things like food, right? The healthiness of my food, right? I don't know. I kind of think it's a great little system. I mean, it's just shining a micro or a magnifying glass on the brutal problem that is minor league ball, though.
Isn't it?
Like,
I mean, you mentioned Fernando Tatis Sr., obviously Junior's dad. Quick Google here shows his estimated career earnings were $18 million. So
So this is like they're giving a guy whose total earnings were $18 million, and that's not even talking about like sponsorship and side stuff or whatever for him.
Mhm.
And his kid needs a loan. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. But
it is surprising when you put it like that. I mean, Fernando Tatis was an undrafted, international prospect signing kind of thing, right? I mean, I think it's a good idea. It's funny they say they have this proprietary algorithm that helps determine, prospects worth investing in. But if you go to MLB.com and you look at the 2018 prospect watch, Fernando Tatis Jr. is the number 2 prospect in all of baseball. So I don't know if you need an algorithm to tell you that he's going to be worth investing in.
Yeah.
But just to point out,
Wow.
the number 1 prospect in 2018 was Vladdy Jr. So,
Wow.
yeah, well, exactly, right? So, anyways, pretty interesting stuff. I mean,
Very interesting,
it depends on the size of deal that he took with them, right? If he gave them 1%, that's still 3.4 million that they're getting back. But if he did a 10% advance, I mean, they've got $34 million coming their way. So, pretty
That's
crazy.
Impressive.
So,
yeah, that's very crazy. That's really interesting, dude.
I think, I don't often root for the big investors, when it comes to Wall Street bets and everything like that, right? I usually vote for the little guy. But I think in this case, relative to the MLB owners, a company like Big League Advance is still the little guy. And I think getting a big return on investment in a guy like Fernando Tatis Jr. gives them more flexibility to work with more prospects potentially, right? So I think this is a big win for everybody in the minor leagues, and I'm excited by it. I think it's pretty good. So
I think it's great. I think it's going to help a lot of minor league players. I mean, it's a little infuriating that the billion-dollar industry that is the reason the minor leagues exist isn't looking after it, but
there you go.
it's the world we live in. Yes.
The world we live in.